you speaking from experience?
I'm speaking from experience. Man, I've been
Start from there, from buying your first apartment. What were the steps? What did you think about? What was important at that point when you were choosing your first apartment to buy?
Some of the things that we're also considering was the price of the house, of course. So what are the other costs that is associated?
Are there any other things that surprised you, or that you were like, oh, this is something that is important to think about when you are making this decision?
Yeah, so one thing that surprised me was the fact that we needed to pay for
Hello and welcome back to the Moneymatics Podcast. This is a show where we talk about finances, money, and we do this for Africans living in diaspora. And on today's show, I have a guest who's going to be sharing his own journey. Buying a home is one of the biggest financial decisions that most people will ever make. And my guest today has done this journey and learned a lot, and so he's here to share with you some of the things to think about, especially if you're buying a home here in Sweden. But I believe that the lessons that we're going to share today are things that can be applied wherever you are that you're watching from. So welcome with me, my guest today. Hi, Mayowa.
Hello.
Welcome to the Moneymatics show.
Yeah, hello everyone. Happy New Year. I guess that greeting will probably still be valid depending on when this episode is going to air. So being a fan of the podcast as well, I'm quite excited to be here. So yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself before we dive into the topic of the day.
Okay, my name is Mayowa. Mayowa DK. I'm a software engineer. I moved to Sweden, I think about 6 years plus ago now. I have a wife, 2 kids, and that's pretty much.
How is life so far in Sweden?
Interesting. Life has been. So I moved to Sweden from Berlin, but when I was living in Germany, I was single. I wasn't married at the time. So people ask me like what I think about Berlin and Stockholm. So what I used to say is that maybe as a single person, you might enjoy the life in Germany better, because I think the nightlife there maybe is a bit more vibrant, is more active than here in Sweden. Is more reserved. But for raising a family, I would pick Sweden over Germany, or Stockholm over Berlin. So it's been fun. It's been interesting. 6 years, and only God knows how many more years to go. So,
that's it. So we're talking about housing, buying a home, and all of that today. Yeah. And I just wanted to share in short your journey so far. How many times have you done this property market thing?
Okay, so we've done it twice.
Okay. And
I think my journey started pretty much the way everyone's journey. You move to Sweden and fresh start like you. So it's sort of like just friends. Maybe for some people they might come and maybe they buy something immediately. But I think for most people when you come to Sweden, you sort of like rent. So that's pretty much how our journey started. And at the time when I wanted to rent my first house in Sweden, I think the only thing that was at the top of my mind was proximity to work. So I was like, okay, proximity to work, and we got something in the city that takes about maybe 10 minutes to walk from the house that we got at the time to my office.
That's a luxury.
Yeah, so it's sort of like a luxury was like the biggest thing in my mind. And I think I came to Stockholm then the company I was coming to work for, they assigned like an agent to help us find an apartment. So I flew down to Stockholm, we checked a couple of houses. But then I was just keen about proximity. So eventually found something very close to the city, very close to my office. But of course, you pay a price that is commensurate.
Yeah, you pay a premium for 10 minutes to town.
But then again, so what precipitated the first move away from that place was, so I came to Stockholm in 2019. And not long after then, about 3 or 4 months, that was when COVID struck. And we had to stay at home, for COVID for
almost a whole year.
Yeah, it's a year plus, So at the time, it now became not so important for me to be close to work anymore because I'm working majorly from home.
And then you're paying a lot of money.
So I'm paying a lot of money staying here. So we can save a lot, 4,000, 5,000 Swedish crowns if we move away from where we are currently and move like just a bit away from the center of the city. So that was what made the first move away, but of course we're still renting. So I think interestingly we got the other apartment we moved away from the city. We got it through the wife of one of my very close friends.
Okay.
But it was from Facebook Marketplace. And I think in my opinion, now that I've been here a while, I would say Facebook Marketplace probably not the
best.
place you want to.
You can be scammed without realizing it.
For some very weird reason, that was where we got that place from, and it turned out well. Like it was a legitimate.
God was in the story.
Yeah. So we got there from Facebook Marketplace. We moved. I think we were there for like a year. I think maybe 2 or 3 years before we bought our first apartment.
So let's start from there. From buying your first apartment.
Yeah.
What were the steps? What did you think about? What was important at that point when you were choosing your first apartment to buy?
Why did we even make the decision to say, okay, we want to buy an apartment and not continue renting? So I mean, if you are renting, the whole amount that you are paying goes to whoever you are renting from. So your rent could be, so for example, 15,000 crowns. The whole 50,000 crowns is going to. We have people around us, like friends, that we've having conversation with, and so we also got to understand that. I mean, if you buy something, even if at the end of the day you are still paying the same cost, maybe the cost of your mortgage and every other cost that comes with owning an apartment, even if you see amount to that same 15,000, at the end of the day you are still getting some of it back.
Yeah, because
you're paying back some amortization to the bank, so which is still like a saving that you wouldn't have when you are renting. So that was sort of like one of the first thoughts that we said, okay, fine, let's try to look out for something. And some of the things that we're also considering was the price of the house, of course. So what are the other costs that is associated with owning the house? So we also considered that. We also considered the setup of the house as well, of course, because at the time we already had our daughter, so we already had a child. So it was me, my wife, our daughter, so 3 of us in the house. If we are going to have visitors around, do we need to have like a dedicated room? How many rooms? So those were like, so we're also like we're considering the configuration of the house. And of course, it also affects the price that you end up paying. The location as well, so was also like a thing, like, okay, where are the places in Sweden? I mean, I've heard like maybe some 1 or 2 places where it's probably not, you probably don't want to live in these places. Yeah, so we're also working about the social location. So where are the places where we can get the location that's sort of like good enough, proximity to some things like maybe grocery, schools for the schooling for the kids. And yeah, so
the gym,
sort of like gym as well, actually. Yeah. So those are the things that we considered in deciding on what to buy.
So what was your biggest financial consideration beyond all these location, this and that? What did you have to think about in terms of the money aspect?
The loan. Yeah, so you are getting a loan from the you would get a loan from the bank, except you come from money and maybe
I want to pay in cash.
Cash rightly. So
we will get there. We'll be able to pay in cash.
But apparently, so when you're living out here in Europe, you tend to, so you get a loan from the bank. Maybe they will give you like, and for at least here in Sweden, you need to have like 15% of the cost of the house. So that was the first financial battle we needed to fight. Like, okay, now that we've seen the ranges of prices for the houses that we like, so do we even have like this 15% for this? So I mean, at the time we did not, so we needed to save up. So that was sort of like the first financial order we needed to scale. So we took a couple of months, gather the money together. So at the time we were talking to banks. Then they will give you like maybe a breakdown of what the loan could be, how much you might. Some of them can estimate how much you are going to be paying per month when depending on maybe a particular value for the interest rate and all that. So we got an idea of how much we are going to be paying. So we also needed to compare that to our salary, what I'm earning, what you are earning. If we assume that we are going to be running the family with this particular amount of money, so do we have enough money to be able to pay back the loan? And also, so there's also something called avgift. Interestingly, when you are buying buying like a bostadsrätt apartment, so we also consider the avgift. So put everything together. So are we able to pay this money? So when all of those boxes were checked and it looks like we could afford, then that was when we now, made the move. Yeah.
So we're going to dial back a bit. You talked about saving up for the deposit. For some people, they're like, oh yeah, save up for the deposit. But in my head, I'm thinking the location, all of this I know what the range can be. Yeah. And it's not small money. What did you have? And for some people, that is where we need to, help our viewers. What did you have to do to make sure that you are able to save that deposit? Because for some people, they want to save the deposit, but they also still want to do a lot of other things. Did you have to make any personal sacrifices to be able to meet up with the...
Definitely. So every time you want to do that kind of financial
project,
there are a lot of things that you would have to cut off. So one of it for us is that, okay, we no travels. Like we can't go on vacations. We can't do anything that is more than running the house, like buying groceries. And when we actually said, okay, we need to buy some new clothing materials, like shoes, clothes,
for the kids,
like when it's really necessary for the kids. So that is when we do those. And we also sort of like add a particular amount in mind that, okay, this is what we need to save a month. So it's not random that, okay, whatever is left we save. So
we're not winging it.
Money. Yeah, so yeah, okay, so if it's 10,000 crore, 15,000 crore, whatever amount, so it's okay, this is what we need to save because we give ourselves a time. So let's assume like maybe 6 months, a year, this is the amount that we need to have saved, and then this is the amount that we need to be saving monthly. So that is how we went about it. So we remove our savings, and whatever is left is what we run the family on. People's situation can be also vary. Like for me, so I wouldn't say that first time or maybe even the second time we did not also have to save all of the money. Still, we needed to save for some time. And of course, there are some things you need to cut off. Yeah, there is really no way around it.
No.
And it might also be better if you have if you mark a particular amount that you want to be saving
every month.
It's going to
reach your goal.
But if you say, okay, I'm just going to save, and you don't have a specific amount, it might be tough. But if you have a specific amount, you get your salary, you take that amount out,
and then
you can work around what is
left.
Thank
you for sharing that, because I think that is very important. I've heard many people who had to do this project of like buying my first, getting into the market, and it's that you need to know, okay, I need to save 500,000 Swedish crowns in 16 months, in 2 years or whatever, and that is this amount every month, and you just need to face it and do it. So it's good to hear that part of it. And you mentioned something apart from the loan from the bank, the mortgage. If you're buying an apartment, or what we call bostadsrätt in Sweden. Bostadsrätt, I don't even know. There is no English word for this thing, because it's in some ways it's such a Swedish concept.
Yeah.
Can you explain that bostadsrätt concept to people, or buying an apartment? Because even it may not be a condo, it can be a house that is also a bostadsrätt in Sweden.
Bostadsrätt. Yeah, I mean, I will try to explain this as to the best of my knowledge, because
simple as it is,
I myself, I'm still trying to grasp what exactly the total understanding. I mean, initially when I learned of bostadsrätt, the first idea that came to my mind was, okay, maybe this is like a landlord association. But it's actually, but in some way it could be, but it's a lot more technical and complex than that. Like in such a way that they are, you are much more intertwined. You are much more connected with whatever is going on with the bostadsrätt. Like the economy affects your economy.
Yeah.
So the BRF is just more or less like an association. So at the end of the day, when you buy an apartment, unlike maybe in Nigeria, that you actually sort of like you actually own the thing. So here in Sweden is more like you've earned the right to live there indefinitely.
Yeah, you are
part of an association so the association is what's called the BRF or the bostadsrätt. So they take care of some other things, like maybe the external parts of your building, things like throwing away your trash. Maybe throwing away your trash, hot water, like eating of the apartments, maybe cleaning of the shared spaces as well. Yeah. If you are living in a compound where maybe they have a playground for kids and all that, so they're also sort of like responsible for that, setting those things, or pruning of the grasses and all of those things. So I think maybe enough
all of you together own the property.
Yeah, we own it.
You don't own your property; you own the right to live in that one.
Yeah, and because of all of these things that they do, and I think the BRF themselves, they've also borrowed some money. So
from the bank,
there are some loan that they are also paying back, and whatever happens to that loan also affects you. So you need there's some amount that you pay. So apart from the money that you are paying to the bank, you are paying some money to the association as well.
Service charge.
Unlike
in some countries.
Service charge, more like what it is in Nigeria. And unlike the money you are paying to the bank, this one that is going to the association, you are not getting anything back. Like it's at least in my experience, when I was living,
it's a service charge. It's gone.
It's pretty much gone. Unlike the one that goes to the bank, where at least some of it is yours. So you pay this amount of money, and it's a cost that you should take a note. Like, you should be careful of when you are buying Yeah, like it can go up depending on the economic situation.
It can go down, but it rarely happens.
Yeah, it
mostly
rarely
always.
I've never experienced a situation where it went down. Like all of my experience with bostadsrätt, like it's always going up, and it can go up significantly. Yeah, maybe not significant in like it can go up in an amount that will be significant to you. Because if I say it can go up significantly, people might be thinking, okay, maybe it's going up by 50%. No, not that crazy. Like, but if it's going up by an extra 1,000 crowns, trust me, to be significant to you. Like that 1,000 crowns that is coming on top of let's assume your 3,000 that you're already paying before, 4,000. The extra 1,000, 1,005, you are going to stop like it's going to be inconvenience. Yeah, so it can. And one of the other reasons why you should be careful about the this avgift that are paying to the BRF is when you want to sell, it becomes also important, which is also why it should be important to you when you want to buy as well, because you should put yourself in the shoes of someone. If you want to sell this to someone, they are going to be concerned about that particular fee, and if it's so high, it might serve as a huge deterrent for you when you actually want to sell, because it makes your apartment unattractive the higher that particular amount goes.
Are you speaking from experience?
Man, I'm speaking from experience, man. I've been burnt by this, so I'm speaking from experience. Yeah. So if the cost for this advocate is high, like it can hurt you really bad. You should also know what this cost is actually covering. So I've seen situations where included in the gift is the internet cost, like it's actually included. Maybe hot water is included. In some cases it's not. I mean, in my experience, our internet was not included in the gift. But I have a friend who, they pay like me, I think 4,000 crowns, and it includes their internet as well.
Yeah,
so that extra 500 plus cost for internet is
gone. It's not part of it. Yeah.
So the more things that is included in this gift, the better it is for you, because it means that there are some other extra costs
that you won't have to pay extra on the outside. Yeah. If you look back, were there any things that you feel like, oh, I underestimate when you bought the first apartment, which is a condo? We're still going to talk about moving from that into maybe a standalone house or a semi-detached house. But from that experience of buying a house, were there things like, oh, I should, this was something, of course you've shared about the avgift increasing, but are there any other things that surprised you, or that you were like, oh, this is something that is important to think about when you are making this decision?
Yeah, so one thing that surprised me was the fact that we needed to pay for hot water. So it wasn't a cost that I thought of initially. And they are not going to put, at least I've not seen it, when you are trying to buy an apartment, they are not going to put that you have an extra cost for this particular thing. So if they say the gift is, let's say, 6,000 crowns, that 6,000 crowns could be what you are going to pay, for so in 2 out of 3 months. It could be that in the 3rd month your advocate is going to be much more than that, because that 3rd month is when you are going to pay for your eating cost for the water, because that was our experience.
So it wasn't included.
It wasn't included at all, and you wouldn't we weren't told at all. So it was just a cost that it was like, whoa.
Wow.
So we paid this the regular one, the one that was advertised. We paid that 1st month, 2nd month, and on the 3rd month it was like an extra huge amount of money. So which means we're actually going to pay the cost for the hot water for every month. You pay it on the 3rd month. So that is what happens every 3 months.
So it's very important to read the fine print.
It's usually significant. Like it could jump from, I mean, for us, you could pay like between 6,000 that are paying regularly to like an 8,000 crowns.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it was significant. So that was something that I didn't see coming, and maybe underestimated. Maybe another thing that I mean, this one, I think macroeconomic factors sort of like had a lot to play in this particular one. But electricity cost is also something that I mean, I underestimated. And when things got really bad, like when the prices, I felt that a lot. I felt that a lot more, especially in the winter. Like I really felt that. And it's also some of the things that electricity itself is also one thing that you might need to have some deeper thinking about before you decide, do I want something fixed, do I want something variable, because these things can hurt you when things change, you can, I mean, at times too, you know what you should have done in hindsight, but at least give it a thought. Okay, what do I want to do? Do I want like a fixed charge from electricity? Do I want it to be variable? Think about it. Don't just go head on and and going blindly without at least giving something a thought.
Now that we're talking electricity interest rate, I want us to talk about even the interest rate with the bank. Because, the bank also, when they're about to give you a mortgage, they can ask you, do you want a fixed interest rate for the next 2 years, 3 years, or do you want it to be variable? In Sweden, you have this raw league that is every 3 months it changes, every 3 months it goes with what is going on on the macro level with the country. What was your experience?
Yeah, that's also like a very important topic to touch on. So in our experience, I think the first, when we got the loan, they offered us, I'm not sure if it's like a year to fix the loan. So the loan was divided into 3 parts. There was one chunk of the loan that I think that one had a year to fix the interest rate. Then the second chunk, I think 6 months. Then the last chunk of the loan was left as a variable. And I think variable in Sweden also means fixed for 3 months.
Yeah, it's fixed for 3 months. It's so funny.
Then it rolls over. I mean, at the time when we were getting these different, I had no idea. Just do it. Like, it's not like I had like some technical understanding of exactly
what was going on.
If I had known, I probably would have just said, okay, fix this thing. I mean, with hindsight knowledge as well, you might think that, okay, that is what you should have done. Things went really bad that the interest rate at the time when we getting our first loan was around 1%, just a little above 1%.
And then when
it got as high as 5-point-something% for us. So
that's 500% increase in a loan.
When things got really bad 2 or 3 years ago. So if I had known, I should have just fixed that interest rate, and
it's hard to
I wouldn't be affected. Like exactly, because variable also means that when the interest rate goes down, then what your interest rate also goes down as well. Yeah, fixed means you fixed it. There's really nothing you can do. Even if the interest rate goes down, there's nothing you can do. So that is also why maybe having some financial savviness, understanding what is going on at the macro level can help you make some decisions better. Like if you know how the economy is going, maybe the direction that things seems to be going. It can help. I mean, you might not be able to make like an 100% accurate decision, but it can help, right? Like me today is way better than me when I was buying the house the first time. So I have a lot more financial understanding to know that, okay, this is even if I end up making the same decision I made like five, but I'm now making with a lot more understanding,
with more understanding of why.
Like, less things are going to shock me than they shook me
the first time.
First time. So
yeah. Oh wow. You see, so that's it. If you want to know exactly what your cost will be, you probably should fix. If you want to, enjoy the flexibility in the market, you should make it variable, but then be ready for whatever is happening above you, what you can't control.
Yeah,
that's very important. Hi, I know you want to go back to the rest of the video, but I just want to make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. So if you haven't clicked the subscribe button, please go ahead and do that right now. Click the subscribe button, like this video, and share it with your network. And make sure you leave a comment at the end of the video. I am happy to read your comments, to read your thoughts, and we promise to always bring you these kind of educative, informative sessions. So don't forget, click the like button, click the subscribe button, and enjoy the rest of the video. So, what was your experience like deciding, okay, now I want to maybe, I don't want to be in an apartment building, I want to maybe be in a house. What was the motivation, the inspiration behind that decision? Did you I've outgrown my apartment, or and now I want to be able to jump in the snow outside with my kids? What was the inspiration?
So I think the major inspiration for us was that the family grew bigger and the space was like not so convenient anymore. So in the former apartment, we had, so apart from the living room and the bedroom, we had just one other room, and that other room was for our daughter. So then we had another baby, a boy. So it was growing, and that other room was not so convenient for the two of them to stay. So that was like the first thing that made us understand, okay, we needed a bigger space. But a bigger space could also still mean
an apartment,
of course. So why a house? I think I would say the reason why I went for a house was exclusivity in some sense, especially in terms of space. Like if you still go for an apartment, most of all the spaces are going to be that you get are going to be shared. Right? So if you want that exclusive space where you can put some things for your, like you mentioned, for the
children.
kids, maybe like a trampoline for them to jump, or some you want to have a garden, or you want to be able to have like a patio where you can put a tent, set up like a proper patio scene. Yeah, so you would need, so that sort of exclusivity was also one thing that we also wanted, and you can only get that mostly when you buy a house, and so pretty much why we went for a house at the end of the day. And of course, we're visiting people, like going to houses of friends and seeing the area as well. Like, this place it looks like a place that you would also want to stay in. So I mean, the place it looks good, then you also just want to do something.
That's good. So before we jump into that decision, how was your experience? I'm trying to pack as much knowledge into this episode as possible. How was your experience selling something and then buying something new?
Yeah.
For someone who probably has an apartment and is also like eyeing, I want to buy a house, I want to whatever.
Yeah.
Any lessons from the selling?
We did not have a good experience, and maybe it's also nice for this to be out so that it can balance the other narrative. And it's important for people to also know that this is personal. Like, a lot of other people have had like experiences that are way better than mine that I want to share. But we did not have a very good experience when we wanted to sell. Like, a very good experience in the sense that we couldn't sell for exactly what we wanted to, the price I wanted to sell for. And I think
what's the biggest factor? Is it the economy?
We tried to sell our house for close to 2 years, if not even more, before we eventually sold it. The economic factor was one of the things, and the things were really bad. So fewer people are pursuing houses because now the interest rate went high. It makes it more difficult for you to get money out of the bank, because now you need to pay high interest rate for the money that, like, the cost of borrowing went high. And with high interest rate also means that a lot more people want to save money, because of course you get a higher interest when you save money. So more money getting saved, not so much money coming out for people to pursue houses. So now there are a lot of houses, and lot of supply and demand. Of course, prices of houses would have to drop for you to get people to buy. So there was also that. And I think there was also some other things that were peculiar to our particular apartment that we were living in at the time. I think one of it was the floor that our apartment was on the first floor. And for me, as a Nigerian who was buying an apartment at the time we bought it, I thought buying a house on the first floor is actually like a plus. Initially, that was basically my thoughts. Like, okay, it's on the first floor, we don't need to struggle. Like, if you're buying furniture or something, you want to
can just move in quick, easily.
You just need to like climb a stair. You don't even need the elevator. Just climb up the stair, you put your thing in. That was basically how I thought about it.
But
I sort of got to understand that a lot of people were coming out of our house at the time just because it was on the first floor. Like, they don't like something on the first floor. And I think it's sort of like a thing in Sweden. I got to understand that it's a thing in Sweden, because if you look at the same configuration of apartments, even in the same building, then the one that is on the higher floor, the higher you go on the floor, the higher you can command for the price of the house, and the lower it is, the lesser you can command. So it's sort of like a thing, maybe because of the view that you get, or maybe I think maybe some people also talked about the fact that maybe if you're on the first floor, maybe people can
easily break in
or peep into the house. I mean, different people like different idea, but
cultural differences.
That was like one of the reasons why people weren't willing to buy our house at the time. Was on the first floor, they didn't like that. The fact that the balcony was also connected to the bedroom. So if you want to go to the balcony, you need to go through the bedroom.
So it was the bedroom that had a balcony,
that had a balcony, not like the living room, or maybe like in a random, maybe like a walkway, and you pass that walkway to the balcony. So they didn't like that as well. I think I'm saying all this to say that the configuration, how the configuration
what you are buying matters.
Sort of like it matters a lot, especially if you are thinking of selling. So there is a way that we, maybe coming from Nigeria, there is a way we look at houses that might not necessarily apply. Like, you need to think about all of the, maybe you need to have like a different thinking, a different mindset from, how house have been set up and configured in Nigeria. Like, the way the house is configured is very important. You also need to think in terms of not what you like, but what people might like in general, because when you want to sell, you don't know who's going to come. So maybe you need to like jettison whatever it is that you, as a personal preference, if it's something that is familiar to you,
that you're only going to live in this apartment for 2 years, 3 years.
You should also consider when you want to sell. So all of these things really, really matter, and it affected us when we wanted to sell our own apartment. It was on the first floor, they didn't like that. The balcony, they didn't like that. So what else really?
Service charge was high.
The service charge was really, really high. one other mistake that we made when we also wanted to sell was we jumped at so when you want to buy, you go to like a housing agent. Like there are a lot of them here in Sweden. I'm sure probably everywhere.
But it's really
a lot of companies, macroeconomic, like we call them, that are willing to sell. So when you want to buy, you go to them to buy. When you want to sell, you also contact one of these macroeconomic people here to sell. So we jumped at the first one that came to cost our house, because when they want to sell, of course they will come. They want to come and value the house for you
and give you free consultation.
I won't call the name of the company. I mean, they came, they cost the house, they gave us, an amount of money that was, it was mouth-watering at the time. And because of how mouth-watering it was, we immediately jumped at it. And it was a huge mistake. I think the right thing to do is to actually consult with more than one, at least two, at the very least. So that you are comparing. But the more, maybe 2, 3, 4. Like, try to get different companies to come and value. Because these people, they can just come value the house, give you a particular amount. That doesn't mean that they can actually help you sell the house for that amount.
No.
It doesn't mean that they can. They can give you something really huge because maybe of the cut they are going to get out of it. Okay, we can sell, this is what your house is worth. You would love it when they tell you your house is worth a particular amount of money. And that can sway your thinking, it won't allow you really think straight. And maybe the person the agent who says they're going to sell for way lesser is the one that you should actually go for.
Because they're more realistic.
They are more realistic. They are more realistic, and maybe that is actually what the market is going to cost your house at the time, and not this particular blown value that this other agency is giving you. So we fell for that thing. They gave us a very huge amount. We fell for it, and for the first time, because we signed a contract with them 3 months to help us sell. For the first 3 months, we were stuck. And if we had gotten a different agent who had given us like a lower price, we probably would have sold in that first 3 months. Because the first 3 months, things were not as bad
as they became.
So after that 3 months, 3 months is enough for the world to go to. That 3 months, things went really haywire. And by the time we came out of that agency to another one, it was already bad. It was already bad. So, and they just kept valuing the house lower. I think we changed agency 3 times.
Wow.
From one company to another one, then to another one. Wow. And even the last one that eventually sold for us, we changed the person that we were talking to. Again, it was one other person. I think the person left the company, then they reassigned another person to us.
Wow.
So like 4 different people, 3 different agencies.
That's such an experience.
Sold. And at the end of the day, we sold for a loss. But like I said, this is not like the general case. I'm sure that we have friends, that their story is way different from ours. So it can happen that way. But it's also important for people to know that.
Yeah, it's good to know that these are serious decisions that you're making.
It can happen the other way as well. Like it can happen the other way around. And you should probably be, if you're not, of course, maybe too desperate, or you're not in the need to sell at the time, you can wait it out. Like time you can wait it out. How long you're going to wait, nobody knows.
No. But
you can wait sort of like wait down to things get better. And maybe you can get the price that you want for your house. But it didn't happen like that for us. So, unfortunately.
Thank you for sharing. Because I think it's important. Because sometimes, like when we started buying houses, people say, it was at that time in Stockholm, you could buy a house, an apartment in Stockholm in January. Yeah. And in December of the same year, you sell it for like $1 million more. Those are the times. But it's important to know that tides change, there are many factors, and these are life-changing decisions that people are making when they're buying their first apartment, their first house, or maybe their second or their third. And it's important to know all these things to think about. So thank you for sharing your story. Yeah, really important. So after you sold, or not even after you sold, now you're making a decision to, okay, maybe I want to change my apartment, I want something bigger. What does it look like when you're looking for your next real estate?
Looking for the next thing can be quite fun. It's the fun part of there's a fun side to it.
There's a fun side to it.
You should try to enjoy that part of it as much as you can. Here in Sweden, we have a general place where we mostly go to look for a house, which is Mnet. So we went to, so that's basically our first stop, and we just kept searching different places. And to be honest, we also had like some specific location in mind based on places that we visited or places that our friends are staying that we like to stay.
Okay.
So we search with those specific places to see, okay, if there's something new there. In conversation with friends as well, we also sort of like have an idea of places in Sweden where okay, these are places that are like nice to stay. So we also sort of like search these websites, Mnet with this location, try to find different places. And you should be ready to do a lot of visitation as well, because this is also like
how early should you start searching on Mnet, like window shopping before
you should immediately you think you want to, you should start. Because it will give you an idea. You would see different things, and those things will also help you to refine what
your fantasy.
Your fantasy and what you are looking for. And some things you might think you don't need, that and something that you might not even know exists. So you should go like visiting. Maybe you go to a particular, you said, okay, they have like their kitchen at the center in one particular place. That might be something that will fascinate you, and it might be something that you might include in what you're looking for. I mean, one of the things that we got in our own searching was that, okay, we actually would want a house where the washroom is separate, like it's a separate building. It's a separate room, and not a part of the bedroom or a part of the, so we wanted we want the washroom to be separate. Because when we saw that in one of our visits, we sort of like, okay, love the idea. We also don't need to be washing while someone else is using the bedroom, and we just love the idea. Okay, the washroom is something separate, and it also gives you the ability to be able to spread if you want to dry the clothes, and maybe you have like a hanger, you have a separate room, you can spread it in there instead of spreading it in the bedroom, which is going to take a whole lot of the space that you have for the bedroom. So like visiting, basically it helps you to see different things, and it's always fun. It can even help you to understand how to set up your own house when you eventually buy one, because in most cases when you go for visitation, like
viewings,
it's already designed, like you try to design it for people to come, and you can even steal ideas. Okay, they put this here, they put this here. You can sort of like understand how
you should set up your place
set up when you eventually buy. So those part of it are sort of like they are like the fun part, and it's also not unusual that if you have an agent that is trying to help you sell your house, they can also be pitching some other thing that they are trying to sell, because the same way they are pitching your own house to other people who wants to buy, there are some other things that they also have to sell. They can pitch those to you, and if they are nice, it's something that you can also go and check out. I think there is also one other decision that you also need to make when you are buying, when you want to buy anything. It could be a house, could be like you need to decide, do I want something new, or do I want something that is not new?
A classic.
Exactly. Do I want to buy like from someone else? Like it's a decision, and each of these comes with their own plus.
So for you, how did you decide if you wanted to buy a house that people are already living in, or in a totally new house?
Honestly, it was just we wanted to have like the experience of living in a new
brand new house.
So the decision to move to buy something new or something from someone else was not, there was no technical, like we just want to live in a new house. That just came like bam. Okay, we just want to live in something new. But I think for us, it also wasn't something, a hill we were willing to die on. To be honest, it was a decision we made. But while we were checking houses that people were already living in. People were already living in. Like we checked one, not so far away from our current new house that we bought as well, which is not like a new house. Like we checked, we went there. If the price was like good enough, we would have gone for it. So that's why we made that decision that, okay, we wanted something new. It wasn't something that cannot change, but it's something that we really wanted. So for some people, the decision, maybe if you have like a lot more understanding and a lot more knowledge, they might have some other like strong reason as to why they will go for either of them. But I think one thing that I sort of like learned after making this move to buy a new house is that you probably don't want to buy a new house or move in the winter. I think it's not something that will factor in. So maybe you want to move, you probably want to do it in the summer, because a winter moving now, how I saw some things that if it was in the summer, it would have been a lot more easier. Especially when you now move to a place where there's still ongoing construction, things are not completely done. And if it snows, you are going to see a lot of trouble. And even before the snow, the weather is already cold. You are moving things, you are outside trying to move things inside and all that. Doing that in the snow, or doing that when the temperature is not so conducive, is hard.
I think generally as well, when you're buying a new house, because we've done this as well, you see a catalog it's in its finest glory.
Yeah.
But you forget that when you move in at first, it's not going to be in that final glory.
Exactly.
And there's still going to be a lot going on. The grass may not be laid. So instead of that fine grass you're seeing in the pictures, it will be like what we call your Nigerian palace.
Yeah. You make a lot of assumption and fantasize a lot from what you see in the picture, but at times the reality might be a far cry. I mean, at least initially from
but then
what is being presented, especially when you're buying something new. Like there are a lot of things to factor, especially I think the most important thing with buying something new is that idea that you had in mind or that was sold to you, you might not get that immediately.
No.
Like it might take maybe 6 months or a year,
1 year
after you have moved in for the house to get to that final stage.
Yeah.
Or like when you're buying something that someone already lived, like it's already done.
It's already
in its final form. So that one basically we see what you see is what you get. So but in a new house, in a lot of cases, it's not like that. It's in a form where you can live in it, but not,
it's not perfect
what was
yet.
sold to you, like what you see in the picture.
No,
so, yeah.
that usually takes time. And in fact, I think for us, one thing that we didn't think about when we bought something new was we didn't think about all the other constructions that will be going on in the area. So there was noise in the beginning, but now things are settling.
Even in the house as well. I mean, after we moved, there was still construction going on inside, like things that they needed to fix. Up to now, there are still things that they need to fix.
So it's something to think about.
Yeah.
Like I usually say, like now that I've done the new house thing, now I'm more of like, I want character. I want something old, something with, stairs up, down, walls. I don't know. It just feels like that's something to check off a box as well. Yeah. Because new houses tend to be very square, especially in Sweden. I don't know what it is with our way of designing houses.
I think if you want like the classic look, you might want to go for like an old house, and you refurbish and you renovate. Renovate that. But I think that's probably for people in a different tax bracket to pursue.
So going on Mnet or going on these websites for checking houses, the fun part, you're looking, you have your wish list, you're reviewing it and all of that, and then you finally make the decision to go for something. And you know what you're buying. What's the biggest difference between maybe when you were buying an apartment that is in an apartment block and maybe buying a house in a BRF? What do you think was like, okay, if you compare that experience to the experience of buying a house, were there major differences for you?
I mean, I think the biggest one that's coming to the top of my mind now would be the financial part, because of if you're buying a bigger house, so it's a bigger financial
commitment,
strain. And the banks that want to give you this loan, they will do a lot more due diligence, because now you're borrowing a huge amount of money. And it could also be a case where you don't even have all of the 15% that you need to have, and maybe you still need to get some private loan or borrow money from friends to make it up. So in our case, this was our experience. We didn't necessarily have all of the about 15%. I would need to borrow some extra money to make that up. So that would be like one thing that was like a huge difference. We're burning a lot more money, so we needed to show a lot more financial skill,
resilience.
It also took us. We also went through the process of saving some money to be able to meet up with the financial commitment to be able to buy the house. It took us a lot more time compared to when we're buying an apartment. And I think so what I was right. The fact that there are some, in terms of the avgift, so there are some differences now between an apartment and the house. When we're living in the apartment, which is one of the shocker that shocked me in the apartment. I mean, I understood the fact that in an apartment, or in Sweden in general, if you're parking on the road, you need to pay. But the one that shook me was the fact that even the underground parking for your own house, you also still need to pay. And actually, you even pay more when you're parking in the underground apartment of the house. You are even going to pay more for that than when you're parking on the road. So it wasn't something I thought of before. Was it like when that reality came? It was something that I wasn't expecting. I was shocked when I understood that. I mean, unlike in Nigeria, if you rent a house in Nigeria, you definitely know that the compound is for you to park for free. But it's not the case. Like our own underground parking, you also need to pay for it. To even get a spot So park is also a thing. You need to stay on a queue. I was on a queue for like 6+ months.
Wow.
Before I finally got a spot to park, and it's not even free. You still need to pay for that spot. So, but now in the house, it comes automatically with like 2 parking that is already included in your avgift. So that's like a relief. That's money that you don't need to pay. I mean, I was paying about 1,300 plus crowns for parking, but that's
parking in your own apartment.
Yes, in my own apartment. Wow. So that's a money that I don't need to pay anymore, which is already included in the avgift for the house. So it's sort of like buying the house also comes with some benefit like that, because it could be, at least that was also our experience. We were spending a lot more money for both the avgift and parking and all the other costs that surround
the apartment.
Yeah, we're spending a lot more money in the apartment than we are spending now for the house.
Wow.
And from the outside, it's not something that people would think that is possible. They will think, okay, now they're living in the house, then you should be spending...
Your monthly cost is higher.
Yeah, your monthly cost is going to be higher. Maybe if any cost is going to be higher, perhaps it's going to be the cost for electricity, because now you're staying in the bigger house. But for every other cost, like the money to the association is lower, I don't need to pay for parking, that's money saved. I mean, at the moment, we are not paying that much compared to what we're paying for hot water in the apartment. We're not paying as much even for the house. So there's some other costs that came down compared to the house, which is not something that people would think about. Think that, okay, that is how it works. But it could work that way, depending on how expensive your avgift or your living cost is
before.
In the apartment. So you can move to a bigger house, and your cost can drop. Yeah. So
but it's actually interesting to have those nuances, because most of the people think, oh, from this level I'm going to this and it's going to cost me more. But it might be that you've already paid up that upfront cost in your deposit, and somehow you release money to like on a monthly basis based on that. Interesting. And as we're wrapping up, I would like to ask you, what has been maybe one of your biggest lessons that you feel like, oh, if I'm doing this again, this is something that I would do differently. If I was to buy again, or if I was to advise someone, this is something that I would do differently.
Yeah, I mean, understanding the macroeconomy is important. It's important. Yeah, it's one thing I would say you should try to at least have an understanding. Maybe just try to know. So everything has a price to earning ratio. So everything that is sort of like investment related. So there's a price to earning. Maybe try to understand what the price to earning ratio, what the average income in Stockholm is, and what the average prices of apartment is. And if you try to understand that the ratio of the average income to average price, because if the PE, I mean the general understanding of the PE ratio for, let's say, a stock is that, okay, a stock with the IP is probably not one you would want to buy, because if it's priced high compared to the earning, then maybe this is not the time to buy this stock. Let me wait for the PE ratio to drop, then for me to buy. It also applies to apartment as well, or you should at least have that understanding. If the PE ratio, if the average income is staying the same thing, it has not really increased that much relative to how much the price of apartment is going, then there's probably a bubble, and maybe you don't want to buy you definitely summary of the conversation, just to ensure that you should know if you are buying at the top or at the bottom of the market, of the housing market bubble, because I mean everything can be graphed. You can sort of like maybe graph the average income of people in Sweden to average price of a house, and if the graph is actually sort of like, if this ratio is going up and you buy when it is up, just be careful. Be know that, okay, this thing could come down, and that can create some financial strain for you. I think another thing that I would advise that people pay extra attention to, which I've sort of tried to emphasize in this interview, is the avgift. Pretty important. It's important. It's important when you're buying. It's even extra important for when you're selling. If you don't factor that in, those that want to buy from you are going to factor it in. And even if you are not even selling, if you are not selling at all, you also do not want to, you are not earning money to be given out to someone else, of course. You know, you also do not want to be paying this huge amount of money that's for service. And you also need to be sure, like, as you're paying that, so what's included in this avgift when you want to buy, like, ask them questions. Okay, what is included? It's important for you to know.
And I think one thing that factors into that avgift, the service charge, is the economy of the foreigning, of the association. It's important to look into how much loan do they have, what is going on with the economy. Are they doing well? Are they not doing well? Because that is very important to how the service charge is going to behave in the coming months, years.
Yeah. I think there are some little quirks that I'm not sure if it's possible for you to know this. If you are, it might be possible, but so where I'm going is that now that we bought this new house, so they told us that after 5 years, I think there's a particular money that the association will now need to start paying. There's a particular tax that they need to start paying.
So you know that
and
in
by the
5 years'
time they need to
time,
start paying that tax, they're going to add like an extra money to the upgrade that you are paying. For some people, what they do is that they quickly sell the house before the time is due for that extra thing, and you that are coming to buy, you don't know. Maybe they're in their final year, their final 6 months of paying that lower upgift. Then you buy into that upgift that is fixed,
low.
Not knowing that in the next 6 months this thing is going to go up, because now the association will need to start paying some amount of money. And it just come as a rude shock to you when they add additional 500 or 600 Swedish crowns to your upgift. The person selling won't tell you. They won't tell you after 6 months start paying this amount of money. But they understand why they are selling.
So that's why you need to look into the books.
You need to look. You need to ask questions. I think it's possible to know, but yeah, it's something that I have an understanding of now. So I'm sort of like prepared for 5 years time when we are going to start paying this money. So there are some little hidden things like that.
You should read the fine print. The financial
ask questions, basically, like ask a lot of questions. If you have people around you with a lot more understanding, a lot more knowledge of this, and ask them questions. Send them, the economic plan of the house, of the apartment. Let them do like some breakdown for you. And now with the advent of AI as well, you can even just upload the document and tell, okay, what do I need to be careful of? Gemini or ChatGPT, they can break this down for you. You can ask it questions. They can tell you something that are hidden that you might not see.
And the good thing is that you can actually ask for the economic plan of a new association, or you can ask for the books of an old association. Like if it's an existing apartment or an existing house that is an association, you can ask them for, I want to see your books for the last 3 years, and they have to provide it so that you can see how they're doing. If there's any major renovations coming, especially with apartments, it could be like, next year they're planning to change all the pipes. And that's usually when the service charge increases a lot, or they're trying to do a renovation, they're doing something, or if the association owns other kinds of buildings, maybe you have a meeting house, or you have this and that. Those are things that tend to affect how the fees will go up. So good point there that you made. Now, as we round up, what's your final advice to a first-time buyer or somebody that is upgrading, that is planning to upgrade this year?
Ask a lot of questions. Ask a lot of questions to people, to those selling the house to you. Like, don't be afraid, don't be shy about asking questions. Like anything that looks shady to you that you don't understand, ask, because you are at the end of the day, when you make the plunge and you buy or you commit, like it's not easy to get out.
No.
Like ask a lot of questions, very, very important. Do your due diligence, basically, is what I would advise. Like it's key. Do your due diligence, ask questions, ask people around, ask the person trying to sell to you, go to the internet and do whatever research that you need to do. And nothing beats doing due diligence.
Do your due diligence. And as you round up, I need to just mention it. People talk about, renting versus buying. Maybe you should rent, maybe you should buy. What's your take now? You've rented, you've bought. What would you tell people who are like, should I rent? Should I buy? There's a lot of people online now telling people to only rent. And sometimes it's good to be very new and to answer that question.
Yeah, this is a very sensitive topic, and I don't think there is a right or wrong answer. I think it's based on the individual. So there are like different ideology or different school of thought that some people think maybe over, like if you carry Excel sheet and do the calculation in the next 15, 20 years, maybe it might have made a lot more sense if you are renting.
But that's only if you know what to do with the money. Your extra money.
That if you are buying, and there are some people who have owned and they've sold and they've gotten a lot of profit from selling. They've even reinvested this into. I know people who have sold, they bought a land, they built their own thing. If some people might get inspired by that and say, okay, I think I should also go that route. So I don't think I have like a strong opinion or a strong answer on this. I think it just depends on you. It depends on your journey, what you want, and what resonates with you. I don't know. I've read, I've seen different things, and I don't think that there is a maybe the answer might even vary depending on location. For example, in Nigeria, I'll probably say owning makes a lot more sense than renting.
Yeah.
Maybe it's also like this is a question that is location sensitive. In Nigeria, I'll probably say okay, own. Maybe outside of Nigeria, probably maybe in the United States, maybe it makes more sense to also own than renting. Maybe in Europe, I don't know. Maybe it's a 50-50 in Europe. One does not. I honestly don't know. It's a complex.
I mean, and that's where I was going to get to. I think I did an episode some time back talking about renting versus buying. And a lot of times when people that are financial influencers or people that talk about money, when they come online, they like to say, do this or do that. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is make a decision that is informed for you and what you want.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's not about the mathematics for some people. It's about, oh, I want my kids to jump on the trampoline outside.
Exactly.
And that is of value to me than maybe them renting or at this point in my life, I want to own. And in 5 years' time, I'm old. My kids have moved out of my house. I want to rent. So I think it's going to always be a decision that is personal.
Yeah.
And so make sure that you're making a decision that you know why.
Yeah. Depending on the factors, it could change. You might have a different opinion after a couple of years and do something new.
Definitely. So that's it on thank you Mayowa for coming on the show and really sharing your story.
Thank you so much
and the things you've learned. And that's it on the Moneymatics podcast, this episode. I hope you've learned something. I hope you've picked something. And if you are on this journey this year, I hope you do your due diligence. I hope you find something, a house, an apartment that fits your budget, that brings you joy. And I wish you all the best on your journey of owning a house or an apartment or a real estate. And until I come your way again, this is the Moneymatics Podcast.
Thank you.